Okay, that's it. We're setting up for the last one. So here we are. Welcome to the fifth and final module in the Health and Safety Committee workshop. And if you're watching this on YouTube, the fifth and final video in the series regarding health and safety committees in the province of Alberta. So just to be clear, these modules all meet the requirements of the Occupational Health and Safety Legislation for health and safety committees. So without further ado, let's get into what we're going to cover for this segment, this module. And that's we're going to talk about health and safety committee and safety leadership. It's likely very hard to believe, but health and safety committees have the opportunity to exercise a lot of leadership without necessarily being leaders. And we're going to talk about this a bit more as we move along. So first off, let's go over what we're going to talk about in this module. Being a leader without a title. The idea of a titleless leader. I'm also going to talk about safety leaders promoting safety in the workplace. I talk about it lots on my YouTube channel. In fact, for those of you that are doing this just on the Learner platform and you haven't had a chance, have a look at the YouTube channel that's linked in the course description. I'm also going to talk about how safety leaders lead by example. One of the biggest problems is people have this do as I say, not as I do mindset. Not necessarily healthy as far as safety goes. And I'm going to talk about the safety committee and how you can be leaders, safety leaders. And of course, finally, how safety leadership benefits the safety culture. To understand all of this, let's talk about the principle of titleless leadership. And that is the idea with titleless leadership means taking initiative and responsibility, performing those necessary duties regardless of one's official position or title. This same principle should apply to health and safety. Safety leaders are those people that emerge and do the right things in the right place at the right time, regardless of who's watching or the motivation. That's leadership. And it encourages everyone in the organization to act as a leader. It's almost like smiling. You smile, others around you will smile. And so if you emerge as a safety leader, other people will take the initiative and also lead. So let's talk a bit more about promoting workplace safety. So the question gets asked, what do leaders do? Well, one of the things they do is they actively communicate. And when they're actively communicating as a safety leader, they're communicating the importance of health and safety. They're, living their words out. If they're talking the talk, they're also walking the walk. They also ensure that safety procedures are understood and followed by, of course, leading by example. But if they see something wrong, instead of admonishing the person or turning them in or reprimanding them, they maybe ask why and make sure that there's an understanding of the right way to do something. They encourage the reporting of hazards and near misses, work illnesses, and other occupational safety issues, regardless of, well, there's no need for fear of reprisal. I talked about it in the last video regarding worker rights. So people can encourage, or safety leaders can encourage the reporting of hazards because the workers are protected and they're making that three rights known in the workplace. The other thing is safety leaders lead by example. They demonstrate safe work practices regardless if anybody's watching or not. Chances are, I've found in the past, people are watching. Regardless of what we think, people are watching.
I'm watching you.
They also prioritize safety in decision-making processes. So if they're part of a planning group or a project management group, they're the ones that are talking about safety and bringing safety into it. Nothing wrong with project managers, but they have getting the end goal in mind. And so a lot of times it takes that person to step up and lead the way, and promoting safety is part of the decision-making process. They also participate in safety training and encourage others to do the same. As I talked about it before, you have the right to know about the hazards associated with the work you're performing, but you also have the responsibility to take those safety training processes and programs in order to do your work safely. Safety leaders participate in that safety training with enthusiasm, and they encourage others at the same time. Safety leaders also address concerns promptly. Yes, you're duty-bound by the legislation to receive workplace concerns and handle them at the committee level, but one of the things you do is address concerns promptly and effectively. In fact, you act as a safety leader because you take those concerns, regardless of what you may think about them, and you bring them up at the committee level. That way, people feel that they're empowered to bring those concerns forward, and it creates a safer workplace. Once again, safety leadership. On that note, I have to ask you, as safety leaders, what have you done to make your workplace safer this week? Okay, if you're on YouTube, let me know in the description. If you're in the learner management platform, do me a favor, contact me with the contact information. I'd like to hear from you. Let's now talk about why the Health and Safety Committee are safety leaders, or where they have that leadership potential. Now, one of the things that they can do, there's a minimum requirement to review inspection documentation. However, to be that one step up, that bit better, that continuous improvement process, safety leaders will be active participants in the foundational health and safety elements in the workplace. And one of the things they can do is be part of conducting regular workplace inspections, or participate in safety audits, or get the safety committee behind a safety audit. Just take one meeting or one part of one meeting to do a quick walk around and do, say, a PPE audit. Something like that goes a long way, and where you're not admonishing people for not wearing their PPE correctly or not utilizing PPE, you're using that as a teachable moment. Okay. The other thing you can do is facilitate safety training and awareness programs, even if you're promoting them and making recommendations to the employer. But you can also, as the safety committee member, be that person to step up and do that safety minute talk or do that toolbox talk. Makes a big difference, goes a long way, and it shows leadership. You can serve as that point of contact for safety concerns and safety issues. Yes, you're compelled to do it, but there's a difference between being compelled to do it by the legislation and stepping up and being genuinely concerned and wanting to do it. The next thing you can do is you can help with the developing and implementing safety policies and procedures. I'm going to talk a bit more about that as I go along in the next couple of slides, but being part and parcel and stepping up and helping with that development, you may make, as a safety committee member, a recommendation to the employer. But one of the things you can do is talk to the safety professional, if you have one on staff, and say, hey, I'm here to help. I can give you some help, even if it's proofreading a safety procedure. The other thing you do is foster a collaborative approach to safety with all levels of the organization. And that's something that the safety committee has that opportunity to do, because you're made up of employer representation and worker representation. But you have that opportunity for positive and passive peer pressure. Not forcing anybody to do anything, but just creating a safety atmosphere. Now, on that note, one of the things I didn't quite talk about earlier in the other modules, because there really wasn't necessarily a place for it, is a terms of reference. It helps you as a committee to be organized. Leaders are organized. Now, the terms of reference lays out how the committee is going to perform their duties and fulfill their role. There is minimum requirements in the legislation, and I encourage you, there's going to be a link in the description of the video, and there's, of course, going to be links in the module on the Learner platform. However, you don't have to just do the minimum. For instance, the legislation also talks about things like in a timely manner or doing this in a timely manner. Creating a good, robust terms of reference enables you, as the safety committee, to actually describe what timely looks like. There is really not a lot of control or prescription in the legislation regarding time parameters. There is a few, but not much, and it's certainly not around how long it takes to get an inspection done, the intervals between inspections, or what a timely manner looks like for completing corrective actions. Now, the employer is duty-bound to have a terms of reference in place and to make sure that the committee creates a terms of reference. However, once again, let's not look at legislation and legality. Let's look over the best practice. And on the note of best practice is, the committee needs to adhere to the terms of reference and review it annually. So let's finish this up with how safety leadership benefits the safety culture. Once again, it's encouraging that proactive approach to identifying and mitigating hazards. I once worked in a workplace where I walked by and down the hallway, and there was actually ceiling tiles missing all over the place, and some looked like they were going to fall. And I naturally assumed, shame on me, that somebody reported it. Came down at lunchtime, same thing. So finally I phoned and I reported this, and they said, oh, we didn't even know about it. Once again, having that proactive approach, see something, say something, do something. Doing so builds trust and cooperation amongst employees and management. Think about it, fostering that good communication. But the other thing that does is it reduces the incidence of accidents and injuries. Okay? They don't happen as often when everybody has an increased and heightened level of awareness. And it enhances the overall workplace morale and productivity. You think about it. People are not as concerned about their safety because everybody's working safely. They're not looking over their shoulders all the time and not freaking out and worrying. And it ensures compliance with the OHS legislation and standards. Notice once again, I was focusing on what's the best practice, what's the best process, versus what am I forced to do by the legislation. But no matter what, doing all of those things and creating that safe workplace in a robust safety culture, you're going to be complying with the legislation anyway. So that wraps it up. Those of you that are on the learning platform, you're going to have 5 questions off of this one too, but once you're done, you're going to be able to print out that certificate, and you're a full-fledged Health and Safety Committee member that's trained and competent. Those of you that are on the YouTube channel, if you want to join in the Health and Safety, the Health and Safety Committee course, there's going to be a link in the description as well. However, if you feel like watching the next video on a terms of reference, you can check it out right up here. Anyway, thank you very much for taking part in this, and I just want to wish you all well in your ventures, and please, be that safety leader. No matter what, do the right thing in the right place at the right time, regardless of who's watching. Okay? Take care. Bye for now.